Hello, I'm I'm Spartan Frost, A.K.A. Ethan Hunkin. Tonight I with a installation 00 again. Make sure like, comments, and subscribe to my channel. Peace.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Installation 00, and today we resume Project John 117. So let's continue where we left off.
How does it feel?
Like I was made aware it, ma'am. The Pioneer did not return to Reach until November the 2nd of 2525. John rode a Pelican to the military complex on the surface with the other members of Blue Team and was met by Chief Mendez, who told them they were to assemble in the amphitheater with haste. There, at 0600 hours, all 33 Spartans gathered in their dress uniforms to hear from Vice Admiral Michael Stanforth. John sat in the third row. All the Spartans rose and stood at attention when Mendez entered, and remained standing until Stanforth gave them permission to be seated. The Admiral informed the teenagers that the outer colony of Harvest had been annihilated some time ago by what appeared to be alien attackers. The adversary responsible called itself the Covenant and had broadcast a message announcing that the destruction of humanity was the will of its gods.
Your destruction is the will of our gods, and we are their instrument.
John stood to ask whether the language had been translated after the message was played for them, but was told that it had been originally broadcast by the aliens in English. Stanforth told them that the UNSC had been ordered to full alert and that the largest fleet action in human history was being mobilized in response. And because of UNSC-wide mobilization, the Spartans' training was to be accelerated to its final phase, Project Mjolnir. The briefing on the new threat and the UNSC's reaction to it concluded. Stanforth then let them know that Mendez would be leaving them to begin the training of a second class of Spartans. John called for everyone to stand and salute the chief a final time. Mendez made his way over to John once everyone began to disperse so they could talk briefly alone. He asked him to recall what options existed when facing a stronger opponent, and John answered that one could attack their weakest point swiftly and forcefully before they had chance to retaliate, or one could choose to retreat. The chief reminded him that a third option existed: surrender. He warned John that surrender might eventually seem like the most reasonable choice for many, but that for people like them it was never an option. Before he left the final time, Mendez returned the quarter that had been taken from John the day he had arrived as a child. John thanked him. Mendez told John it had been an honor to serve with him, and instead of saluting, simply shook his hand before saying goodbye. By November 6th, all the Spartans had departed Reach aboard the Paris-class heavy frigate the UNSC Commonwealth. The next 3 weeks were spent handling a variety of minor missions under the guidance of Dr. Halsey on their way out to Chi-Seti 4 on the edge of UNSC-controlled space. All of the Spartans worked together to put down multiple insurrectionist factions on Jericho 7, and also to remove a black market bazaar near the Roosevelt military base. During the final of these deployments in which Blue Team worked together as a singular unit, John sustained severe injuries to his shoulders and his right flank. It was at 1750 hours on November the 27th that the Commonwealth finally emerged in real space in the Chi-Seti system. During the last leg of the journey through slipspace, John had used the ship's educational database to look up the word Mjolnir and determine the project must concern some sort of weapon. Immediately after their arrival in the system, Halsey summoned John to the bridge. Before he left the bunk room where the 32 other Spartans were, he told Sam to get everyone ready in case they were needed soon. John took an elevator, saluting Captain Wallace and nodding to Halsey once he arrived. The doctor called his attention to a screen displaying deconvoluted radar signals, including one that may have been a ship 80 million kilometers away. In the event that the anomalous ghost on the radar signal signified a Covenant vessel, Captain Wallace ordered all hands to battle stations. Halsey let John know that they needed to take the frigate's dropship to the surface of Chi-Seti 4 to get Project Mjolnir at the Damascus Materials Testing Facility in Valchem. John accordingly relayed this information to Sam and told him to have everyone mustered in Bay Alpha with a Pelican ready for drop-off in just 15 minutes. With barely any warning, an alien ship suddenly emerged from slipspace just 3,000 kilometers off the Commonwealth's prow. John could only watch as the frigate was forced into battle against a sleek craft a third its size, but with much better defences. John finally spoke up after they sustained a significant amount of damage, and suggested that Captain Wallace use GATL-1 longswords to distract the enemy to buy them time to offload the Spartans and Halsey at Chisati 4.
Excuse me, sir. The aliens' tactics thus far have been unnecessarily vicious, like those of an animal. They didn't have to take that second back round, but they wanted to position themselves to fire. In my opinion, sir, they would stop and engage anything that challenged them. They're sending a message.
Wallace agreed to sacrifice Longsword Squadron Delta to fulfill their mission as they neared the planet, and asked that those going to the surface try to rendezvous in orbit by no later than 1900 hours. After landing, it took around 15 minutes for a freight elevator to carry Halsey and the Spartans down to the depths of Chisati 4, finally depositing them in an underground hangar at around 1845 hours. There, the Doctor introduced them to Project Mjolnir, an initiative to outfit each of them with the most advanced armour ever created by humans in the modern era. Halsey walked the teenagers through the various ways Mjolnir would improve their abilities in combat, but also made sure they each understood the risk they would be taking by agreeing to use it. Tests with unaugmented volunteers given the armour had ended catastrophically, and computer modelling for the Spartans had been insufficient, meaning that whether their enhancements would actually allow them to use the armour was still unknown. Despite the risk, each one of them volunteered at once to be the first to try on Mjolnir, but Halsey ultimately decided on John being the one to demonstrate it first. Once a team of technicians had taken 15 minutes to fit the various pieces in place, Halsey asked him to slowly raise one of his arms to chest level, which he managed very carefully. She then coached John through the basics of walking and gradually built up the speed and complexity of his motions. After 15 minutes, John could walk, run and jump almost without thinking about the difference the power armour made to his movements. Dr. Halsey directed him to try running through a nearby obstacle course with the armour while the remainder of the Spartans were fitted with theirs. On the course, John leaped over 3-metre-high walls, shattered concrete targets with punches, sunk knives up to their hafts when thrown into target dummies, and even felt confident enough to let bullets deflect off of his armour. To his own amazement, he even dodged one or two of the rounds when he tried. The others ran through the course as well, but John could see there was a lack of coordination to their movements. He expressed his worry regarding this to Halsey, who reassured him that they would get used to using the suits soon enough. She let him know that each of them had been given subliminal training to prepare them during their last trip through slipspace in cryostasis. The Spartans spent 30 minutes drilling in their new armour before Captain Wallace contacted them to say that they had made contact with the Covenant ship again. Though its slipspace capability was evidently still damaged from the previous engagement, it was moving towards them through normal space. Wallace offered to try to draw the enemy away, to buy them more time, but Halsey decided the time had come to fight instead. Thanks for watching. Stick your comments down below, I look forward to what you have to say. All contributions are listed in order of appearance in the description down below. If you want your own art, forges, renders, mods and fan creations featured in upcoming videos of Project John 117 series, pop over to my Discord, request the Sierra 117 role, and jump into the Project John 117 channel to get the ball rolling. Links, as always, are in the description. I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons: Neek the Silent Cartographer, Brian, Sebastian, Red Sea, Darian, Stalker of the Realms, and Falcon X003, the Holders of the Mantle, Black Biscuit, J-Rabbit, Austin, Kaiser, Silux, Reclaimer 216, The Revanche, Wolf Slim, Andre and Samantha, my Reclaimers, Zach, Deep Cover, Verbal Statue, Spesigo, Spartan A498, Guppy, Josh, Bastian, Molchar, Nightrise, Sierra G059, Kenneth and Dylan, my Metarchs, and all the other patrons that have jumped aboard to support the channel. You guys are awesome, and all of this wouldn't be possible without you. If you like Halo lore discussed to insane levels of detail, hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon so you're told the second a new video hits the shelves. Be sure to support us on all major social media channels, including Discord, and if you really love the channel, consider heading over to Patreon and supporting the channel over there. It would mean the world to me, would free up more of my time for me to put into this content and other Halo-related goodness. Take it easy, everyone, and find peace in the domain.